Welcome everyone. Step past the velvet ropes with me, beyond the Klieg lights and the screaming crowds. We're taking a journey back to the so-called golden age of Hollywood, an era of glamour, romance, and perfection. But that perfection was a carefully crafted illusion, hiding a much darker, more human reality. Beneath the flawless makeup and dazzling smiles, these icons battled demons, ambition, and cruelty that rivaled any role they played. Today, we'll pull back the curtain and reveal the shocking, untold stories behind Hollywood's most beloved legends. Let's begin. Joan Crawford, Hollywood royalty, queen of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, and a master of control. Her image was flawless, but her reign was built on fear and obsession. On set, she demanded endless retakes, not for art, but to assert dominance over directors and co-stars. Her infamous cleanliness was less quirk, more compulsion, scrubbing floors at night, isolating herself behind a fortress of control. Crawford's need to curate her myth extended to answering every fan letter, not out of warmth but to maintain her legend. Her feud with Bette Davis became Hollywood lore, peaking during Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, where psychological warfare turned physical. Crawford's tyranny was fueled by insecurity and a desperate need for adoration. She built an empire on intimidation, reminding us that the brightest stars can cast the darkest shadows. Behind the legend was a woman both formidable and deeply troubled. Crawford's legacy is as chilling as it is iconic. If Crawford ruled with icy control, meticulously crafting her image and wielding power with calculated precision, Bette Davis was pure, unfiltered fire, a raw and untamed energy that burned bright on the silver screen. She refused to be molded by the studio system, challenging its conventions and defying expectations at every turn. She was constantly battling executives and co-stars alike for artistic respect, fiercely protective of her craft and vision. Davis's sharp tongue and brutal honesty left many scorched. Her words could cut deep, and she wasn't afraid to use them. She demanded excellence and had no patience for vanity or laziness, pushing everyone around her to reach their full potential, whether they liked it or not. Her feud with Crawford was legendary, a clash of titans that captivated Hollywood for decades. It was fueled by professional rivalry and personal slights, a simmering resentment that occasionally boiled over into public displays of animosity. On the set of Baby Jane, their mutual hatred turned the production into a war zone, a dark and twisted reflection of their real-life animosity. Davis's blows were as real as her resentment, blurring the lines between acting and genuine aggression. She clashed with directors, especially William Wyler, engaging in intense creative debates that often pushed both of them to their limits. These turning collaborations into emotional battlegrounds that, despite the friction, often produced cinematic masterpieces. Davis was a paradox, a complex and contradictory figure who defied easy categorization. She was a champion for women, a fearless artist, breaking barriers and challenging societal norms with her powerful performances. But she was also a relentless bully, capable of inflicting pain and alienating those around her. She didn't just burn bridges, she seemed to relish the act of destruction. She obliterated them, leaving scorched earth in her wake and daring anyone to challenge her. Her legacy is one of brilliance and ferocity, a testament to her undeniable talent and unwavering commitment to her craft. Her difficult nature is as legendary as her talent, a reminder that genius often comes with a price. Davis demanded respect, not through charm or diplomacy but through sheer force of will, but often left chaos in her wake, disrupting the carefully constructed facade of Hollywood glamour. She was both a trailblazer and a terror, a revolutionary force and a disruptive presence. In Hollywood, her fury was unforgettable, a defining characteristic that set her apart from her contemporaries. Bette Davis was a force, a whirlwind of talent, ambition, and raw emotion, impossible to ignore, impossible to tame, and forever etched in the annals of Hollywood history. Alfred Hitchcock, the master of suspense, a name synonymous with cinematic thrills and psychological depth. He was a genius at manipulating audiences, and, perhaps more disturbingly, his actors, crafting intricate narratives both on and off the screen. His obsession with control extended to his leading ladies, the beautiful and talented women who graced his films. He treated them as props, meticulously crafting their image and persona to fit his own disturbing fantasies, blurring the lines between director and Svengali. Hitchcock's methods were often sadistic, a calculated cruelty masked by the pursuit of artistic perfection. During the filming of The Birds, He subjected Tippi Hedren to days of real live bird attacks, a harrowing experience that went far beyond the demands of the script. The relentless assault left her deeply traumatized, both physically and emotionally scarred by the director's actions. He isolated actresses, creating an environment of dependence and vulnerability. He played mind games, fostering an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty on set. And he made inappropriate advances, abusing his position of power to exploit and control the women around him. All of this was done to keep them vulnerable and dependent, ensuring their compliance with his vision, no matter the cost. When Hedren finally rejected him, refusing to succumb to his manipulative tactics, he used his considerable power to blacklist her, effectively ending her career out of spite and revenge. Kim Novak, too, endured his controlling behavior during the production of Vertigo, a film celebrated for its artistry but shadowed by the director's personal obsessions. He relentlessly tried to mold her into his ideal woman, a puppet in his grand cinematic design. Hitchcock's brilliance as a filmmaker is undeniable. His contributions to the art form are significant and lasting. But his legacy is forever tainted by the documented psychological abuse he inflicted on those around him. The terror that permeated his films was often real, a reflection of the fear he cultivated on set. It was born from the genuine fear he inflicted off-screen, a dark secret lurking behind the glamour of Hollywood. He was a master of suspense, not just because of his cinematic techniques, but because he was a master of manipulation, both on and off the camera. His films endure, captivating audiences with their suspense and intrigue, but so do the chilling stories of his cruelty and control. Hitchcock's undeniable genius came at a terrible human cost, leaving a trail of broken spirits and shattered careers in its wake. The line between artistic vision and outright abuse was often blurred, leaving a complex and disturbing legacy. In Hollywood, his shadow still looms large, a reminder of the dark side of creative genius. Frank Sinatra, Old Blue Eyes, the chairman of the board and the epitome of cool. But behind the charm was a man with a legendary temper and a penchant for bullying. Sinatra's wrath could be triggered by the smallest slight. Journalists, colleagues, even friends felt his explosive anger. He surrounded himself with the rat pack who enabled his worst impulses and enforced his grudges. Reporters faced smashed cameras and public tirades, rivals risked career sabotage or worse. On set, Sinatra's mood dictated everything. One bad day, and the entire production suffered. His impatience led to rushed takes and a tense atmosphere. Rumors of mafia ties only added to his aura of danger. Sinatra demanded loyalty, but offered it on his own terms. He was a giant of entertainment, but for many, he was simply a bully who ruled through fear. His charm could turn to menace in a heartbeat. Sinatra's legacy is as complicated as his personality. Orson Welles' boy genius, creator of Citizen Kane and Hollywood's ultimate outsider. His brilliance was matched only by his arrogance and refusal to compromise. Welles's unprecedented creative control bred resentment. He saw studio heads as obstacles, not partners. His perfectionism pushed crews to exhaustion, and his wit could be as cutting as his edits. Studios butchered his films, but Welles's own stubbornness often sabotaged his career. He became a cinematic exile, scrambling for funding and battling the system at every turn. Welles's genius was undeniable, but his ego isolated him. He was both a victim of Hollywood and an architect of his own downfall. His story is one of unfinished masterpieces and squandered potential. Welles remains a tragic, towering figure, brilliant but impossible. Judy Garland's voice was pure magic, but her life was a storm of addiction and insecurity. MGM's relentless demands began in childhood: pills to stay awake, pills to sleep, and constant criticism of her appearance. This abuse created lifelong dependency and crippling self-doubt. As an adult, Garland's unreliability became infamous. Chronic lateness, missed shoots, and volatile moods frustrated everyone around her. Her substance abuse made her both adored and exhausting to work with. Productions like Annie Get Your Gun and her TV show were plagued by her struggles. Garland's pain wasn't born of ego, but of trauma inflicted by the Hollywood machine. She was a victim, not a villain. Her difficult behavior a cry for help. Her immense talent was inseparable from her suffering. Garland brought joy to millions, but found little for herself. Her story is a heartbreaking cautionary tale about the cost of stardom. The rainbow she sang about was always just out of reach. Errol Flynn, a name synonymous with adventure. Hollywood's ultimate swashbuckler, a true icon of the silver screen and off-screen, its wildest rogue, living life to the absolute fullest. His life was a whirlwind of parties, a constant celebration, excess and scandal, a potent cocktail that defined his existence. lived with reckless abandon, consequences be damned. Flynn's charm masked a selfish disregard for others, a carefully constructed facade. Pranks on set often crossed into cruelty, pushing boundaries and testing limits, especially toward co-stars like Olivia de Havilland, creating palpable tension. His hedonism led to legal trouble, a dark cloud gathering on the horizon, most infamously a statutory rape trial, a scandal that shook Hollywood to its core, that forever tarnished his reputation, leaving an indelible stain. Flynn's drinking and unprofessionalism eroded his career, a slow and painful decline, turning the dashing hero into a cautionary tale, a symbol of wasted potential. He lived without apology or restraint, embracing his vices without hesitation, leaving a trail of broken relationships and squandered potential, a legacy of regret. Flynn's autobiography, My Wicked, Wicked Ways, says it all. A glimpse into his soul, a life of thrill-seeking with little thought for consequences, a dangerous game. He played the hero, embodying courage and charisma on screen, but often behaved like a villain, revealing a darker side to his personality. His legacy is a mix of adventure and scandal, a complex and contradictory narrative. Flynn was the dream, the epitome of Hollywood glamour and excitement and the nightmare, a stark reminder of the industry's darker underbelly, of Hollywood excess, a world of temptation and self-destruction. The legend was thrilling, captivating audiences with his on-screen presence, but the reality was far darker, a tragic tale of a star consumed by his own demons. Laurence Olivier, acting royalty, a name synonymous with theatrical greatness. He was a master of both the stage and the silver screen, captivating audiences with his powerful presence and undeniable talent. But behind the accolades and applause was a man of ruthless ambition, driven by an insatiable need to be the best. Olivier demanded perfection, not just from himself but from everyone around him. He treated acting as a battlefield, a constant competition where he felt compelled to dominate every single scene, leaving no room for anyone else to shine quite as brightly. Co-stars who couldn't match his intensity, or perhaps weren't willing to engage in his competitive games, faced open contempt and thinly veiled disdain. For Olivier, it was never about collaboration or teamwork. He sought to outshine, not uplift or support his fellow performers. Marilyn Monroe, in particular, suffered greatly under his often cruel disdain. This was especially evident during the production of The Prince and the Showgirl. His harsh treatment and cutting remarks only served to worsen her already fragile emotional state, adding immense pressure to her performance. Olivier's personal life was equally ruthless, a landscape of broken relationships and strained connections. His highly publicized and passionate marriage to Vivien Leigh ultimately crumbled under the weight of their individual ambitions and personal demons. As time went on, he grew increasingly cold and dismissive of her well-documented mental health struggles, further isolating her in their relationship. On stage, he was known to upstage fellow actors with petty tricks and calculated maneuvers, all designed to draw attention back to himself. He was always determined to be the absolute center of attention, the focal point of every performance, regardless of the impact on his colleagues. Even those he genuinely respected, like the talented Michael Caine, weren't immune to his subtle jabs. He often delivered backhanded compliments, carefully crafted to remind them, and perhaps himself, of his perceived superiority and legendary status. Olivier's genius is undeniably etched in the history of performance, but his towering ego and relentless ambition often made collaboration a cold and isolating experience for those around him. In the end, it seemed he loved the art of acting more than he valued the people who helped him create it, a tragic paradox for such a celebrated figure. For those fortunate, or perhaps unfortunate enough to be in his orbit, the overall experience was often one of profound isolation and emotional strain. Olivier's undeniable brilliance, therefore, came at a significant human cost, leaving a complex and often troubling legacy. So there you have it, the saints of the silver screen, revealed as deeply flawed and human. The legends we worshipped were forged in pressure, ambition, and insecurity. Their flaws and cruelties are as much a part of their story as their iconic performances. The Golden Age was a dream factory run by imperfect people. Greatness is messy, and the tarnish on the gold tells a more honest story. Who shocked you the most? Let me know in the comments below. Subscribe for more untold Hollywood stories. There's so much more beneath the glamour.